Okay, double race weekends. I wanted to talk briefly about back-to-back race weekends and some of the things that you want to consider. And I'm going to do a screen share and show you just kind of an example, kind of training sequence, taper sequence that we're going to use for this. Back-to-back race weekends on a lot of people's minds right now. Sam Long just won two 70.3s on back-to-back weekends, which isn't unheard of. He's actually done this before. Other people have as well. But also in Boulder, we have a double race weekend coming up. We have the Colorado Triathlon put on by Without Limits coming up very beginning of June, which is a sprint or an Olympic distance. And then the weekend after that is the Boulder 70.3, always a tough race. So, a few things to consider that I want to talk about. And then I'll show you a quick screenshot of an example, an athlete, kind of an example of what we're going to do. Everyone will be a little bit different depending on your schedule and things like that, but it'll give you a little visual to kind of put this in your head if you're self coaching or what have you. So, basically, two things that you want to consider when doing back to back race weekends. And you need to consider them at the same time, kind of together. So, the first thing you need to consider is how much of these races going to take out of you. Okay. Is it a race that can kind of be considered a deposit into the bank account of fitness and form, or is it going to be more of a withdrawal? So, what I'm getting at here, obviously, is the duration of the event and the overall difficulty um, of the event, how much you're putting into it, the athlete's putting into the event. So, if we're talking triathlon, sprint distance, even Olympic distance, kind of depending on the athlete, when you get into that under 2 hours kind of time frame, under 2.5 hours, it's hard, but it can almost be considered hard training, especially if you're preparing for longer events in general, where you're doing a lot of training, you're a more experienced athlete. Um, as we get up to that half Ironman distance, 5 hours, even beyond 3.5 hours. So Xterra people, be careful here. They can be more. They're more of a withdraw from the bank account. They take a lot longer to recover from, and not only do we think about the length of recovery, but kind of being in good form, being able to have that top end performance after a race like that. It takes a lot. So, top professionals, even for top professionals, the back-to-back half Ironman weekend is tough. It's definitely a tough ask. So, um, the if you're a cyclist or a mountain biker, you can think about the duration of the event, how hard the overall event is. Criteriums, hour-long races, shorter single-day road races versus a stage race. Mountain biking, the 50-mile mountain bike race, big endeavor. That's a big, a stage race, Breck Epic, things like that. Those are big kind of withdrawals from the bank account, if you will. So shorter events, hard, but even if they are a priority, they could be considered kind of a deposit into the bank. Um, the other thing is your priorities. So if your priority is a 70.3, and that's on the first weekend, and then the following weekend is a lesser priority race, whatever the distance is, hopefully not a full. But if you have a shorter distance event, but it's not a priority, then it's okay. You're going to be all right. That's kind of the ideal scenario, is having that priority event first. If the priority event is second, then we want to really consider the first thing to think about, as I just talked about, which is, is that first event going to be a big withdraw, or is it going to kind of add to your experience? So this weekend in Boulder, or not this weekend, but coming up here, we have very beginning of June, we have the Boulder Sprint. It's either a sprint or an Olympic, and then the Boulder Half 70.3. For the people that are doing the half and the sprints, the half is the priority. So the second weekend is the priority, but It's again that first weekend, everyone will be doing the sprint. It's going to be an hour and 10 minutes. It's long. It's a long sprint race. So while it is going to be a big, hard effort, it's pretty short and we're going to recover pretty quickly from that. So I'm going to do a screen share and kind of show you what we're going through and how kind of we're preparing for this a little bit here. Again, for the people doing the half, some of them have not raced yet. And so the full, let's see here. Okay, here we go. The full, um, this is Ed O'Malley's training here. And again, this is an example of what we have set up for a bunch of people, but I'm going to talk you through this. The obvious real non-sexy part of this is it's basically 2 taper weeks. This is nothing extra really going on here. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we kind of go through these correctly. So first of all, Monday's kind of a normal off day for Ed, which for a lot of people, that's typical. So even with a normal training load, having the Monday off is pretty typical. Tuesdays, for anyone who knows me or is local here, we know we have a team group swim that I coach on Tuesday mornings and the track workout. This week, these are both going to be kind of more taper sessions, but still plenty of hard stuff here. Not a normal full workout, but probably maybe a half of a workout, 1/3 to a half of a normal workout. Normally, we do have a kind of an easier bike ride of varying distances depending on people's time after our hard Tuesday, but today we're going to keep it a little shorter, a little easier. And then Thursday, this would normally be a day off, but usually people want to come swim anyway. Again, this will be a short session. We'll be doing some start kind of efforts here. All the Without Limits races have proper age group mass starts. So we'll be making sure that everyone's getting ready for that. Got their pacing down, wearing their wetsuit, all of those good things. Friday will probably be a bigger day, maybe the biggest day of the week in terms of a nice long opener ride and potentially a jog and or swim, depending on how the athlete's feeling. This will be a solid hour ride with plenty of efforts, lots of rest in between. Again, remember that the race is a hard effort. This is sprint distance triathlon is probably one of the harder workouts that you can do, in the sport. So, swim, bike, run, going to be trying to do all of these things as at high of a percentage of that threshold as possible, that lactate threshold as possible. So here's where we're going to try to be a little bit more strict. Usually we get out and train, probably a cool down after the race of either a quick bike or run. Definitely be getting out Sunday. Absolutely mandatory. Get out on the bike, flush all the waste out of the system, keep the cadence up. This isn't just for recovery, but this is also, we want to do just enough training here so that our bodies don't start to shut down. Just enough training, just enough stimulus so that sympathetic nervous system doesn't kick in and start shutting everything down. Now, here's the trick. We want to make sure that we stay sharp. We want to make sure that we kind of stay active, but we want to rest also. For the longer event, we want to make sure that we're fresher, we have less fatigue in the system, but we don't want everything to shut down. A similar Tuesdays week before, probably even shorter, less of a session, both for the swim and track workout here, maybe a 25% of a normal session. These will be pretty big. These will be not big, small taper session, a pretty serious kind of taper session. Again, easy bike session on Monday. I'm really going to be pushing for people to take the full day off here and then again ramp up. We'll have another jog and or swim here if people like. They can spread it out. Probably going to be pretty adamant about people sleeping in on Thursday here just to get that extra rest. Yes, if we can do an easy recovery ride the day after, that'll be good. But if we don't, and we kind of start letting ourselves shut down a little bit, that's okay, depending on what we have coming up. But this is a big early season, 2 weeks here for everyone. So, like I said, as you go into one of these weekends, if you're planning a double race weekend like this, really sit down and consider those two things. Which are your priority races? Which one do you care about most? And which one are you just kind of doing for experience, training, fun, etc.? And then the other thing is consider how much these races are going to take out of you. Everyone's different here. Okay. If you're a newer triathlete, doing an Olympic distance race can take a lot out of you, can take a lot to recover. If you're brand new to mountain bike racing and you're going to do a 2.5 hour race, 3 hour race, that can take a lot out of you. You might not be ready to go the next weekend. More experience, more fitness you have, um, the more endurance capacity you have built up, the better you're going to recover from those kinds of things generally. So, what's your priority event? How much are these events going to take out of you? Really think, consider those, talk to your friends, talk to your coaches, talk to your teammates before you kind of plan one of these. Hope I'll see all of you guys, everybody out at Boulder 70.3 and Without Limits Colorado Triathlon. Come say hi. We'll see you on the road too. Train safe.